This is Optimal Relationships Daily, episode 1635. My Way Back into Life, A Personal Story, Part 2, by Eddie Corbano of lovesagame.com. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again for the back half of another two-parter. I'm your host and narrator, Greg Audino, here with you today to finish up the post we began yesterday from the Breakup Master, Eddie Corbano. Be sure to listen to yesterday's episode 1634 if you haven't already. We got off to a great start, and you'll want to hear that first. I wouldn't want you to miss any of it or be confused when listening today. For now, though, let's look towards part 2, as well as some commentary of my own at the end, as we continue optimizing your life. My Way Back into Life, A Personal Story, Part 2, by Eddie Corbano of lovesagame.com. Recovery finally started. Then suddenly, it got better. I clearly felt an improvement in my overall state. What happened? I made a decision. Standing at a crossroads, I made the decision whether to go left or right. Turning left meant to continue with this pathetic existence without joy and perspective, an existence that equals death. Turning right meant to change, and eventually head towards a new and better life. I consciously took that step into change. I decided that I couldn't go on like this. All of that meant accepting the fact that it was over and letting go. Man, that felt good. I felt an instant release. Yes, it meant accepting that she would never come back. Yes, it meant saying goodbye to that golden future together that I had painted so well in my mind. Yes, it meant standing up and taking back what was mine, even if it meant that I had to kick myself every day. While this day marked a milestone in my recovery journey, the way that followed was still a long, rocky road. The painful road ahead. I had to go through all the painful phases, through the depression, the missing, the anger, the lonely nights where I wondered if she slept alone, the guilt, the endless times I checked emails, mailboxes, picked up the phone and hung up again. It was like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. The next few months were tough. I had one especially bad problem. I was constantly rethinking and reliving the past, and every time I tried to block my thoughts, I would feel guilty, as if not thinking about her was a betrayal. It was impossible to let go while I kept her alive in my mind. So I decided to approach this problem a different way. The secret of mental control. I remember that I visited some friends the first time I had gone out to meet someone, and I forced myself to not think about her for 1 hour. Only for 1 hour. What now seems almost laughable was nearly impossible to carry out back then. I committed not to beat myself up or feel guilty if I didn't make it the hour, but it worked. I made it 1 hour without thinking about my ex. This was a real victory. With time, I expanded the time frame more and more. Additionally, I learned some mental control techniques like meditation and yoga. The less I was thinking about her, the more I was able to let go. Know thyself. Step by step, I learned to function again, to find myself again. The more I concentrated on myself and not on the outside, the more I learned who I really was. I found out many things about myself back then, things I didn't know before, what kind of a person I was and why I had become like that. For a few months, I focused very intently on this task, to learn who I was. I worked with counselors. A very good friend who is a psychotherapist helped me tremendously to reach my personal goals, and educated myself in different categories of self-improvement. It was all about self-improvement. Find out who you are and become a better person. I learned more in 2 months about myself and how to improve my circumstances than in my entire life until then. And you know what happened? As I got to know myself, I started to like myself for the first time in my adult life. The mission. After that came a period where I wanted to give back what I had learned. I decided to help others because I honestly believed, and still do believe, that this is one major secret to overcoming a breakup. I joined a breakup helpline run by a non-profit-making organization. I had to take a counseling course for a few months first before they would let me take calls from real people. The experience was overwhelming. I learned so much about breakup recovery and what people are mostly suffering from. I learned what helped them and what didn't. I learned that I wasn't alone, that nearly every caller had the exact same problem that I had. Additionally, I did surveys with family, friends, and other people on how they overcame their breakups. I was determined to find an applicable method to shorten the recovery time of a breakup, and at that same time, to improve themselves as a person. Showdown. My next personal hurdle was something I was terribly afraid of: to face my ex again. I maintained no contact for almost 2 years and didn't know what to expect. The result after I saw her again for the first time was very surprising. I was completely indifferent about my feelings toward her, and it felt like I was meeting an old friend. That was the proof for me that I was over her. I finally did it. A new man. What happened after that? Well, my life took a very fortunate turn after that. I had been able to resolve most of my issues, became stronger and confident, and understood the main pillars of a fulfilling relationship. Like a phoenix, I rose from the ashes and became a new person, a better me. I've learned even more about effective breakup recovery, and together with my friend the psychoanalyst, I developed a 7-step coaching program which has helped many people to get over their breakups in record time. So what would you say? Am I real? Man, you won't believe how real I am. Your friend and coach, Eddie Corbano. You just listened to part 2 of the post titled My Way Back into Life, a Personal Story by Eddie Corbano of lovesagame.com. And thanks so much once again to Eddie. I hope you've enjoyed this 2-parter from him, all about his journey towards breakup recovery. And I think something worth noting now, after having listened to both parts, is that his journey truly was filled with ups and downs, right? There were decisions that he later regretted, strategies that were later changed and improved upon, etc. And I hope you'll consider this should you be going through a breakup yourself. Of course, slip-ups, if you will, are part of the process. It can be a time of both immense pain and immense learning. And that means that when you're on the other side of your pain, you're more than likely going to look back through your stages of progress and maybe laugh. But certainly see how you could have done things differently knowing what you know now. So, if you can identify any points of your breakup recovery where you were or are maybe self-sabotaging a little bit, rest assured that they were necessary for your growth. And in the midst of so much emotional turmoil, there is usually a lot of self-sabotage. So you're certainly not alone in that. Okay, everyone, that's going to wrap us up. As always, I thank you for being here and listening to both parts. Have a marvelous rest of your day, and be sure to come on back tomorrow for more, where your optimal life awaits.